This is the Tiki and Tierney Show. What's happening? You know, Teak, I got to tell you, Teak, I think we've been so consumed with collecting stars here that we're missing something pretty important that I think we have to get into today. All right? And obviously the star pursuit, Aaron Rodgers with the Jets, we'll see where that goes. Now, of course, you see it in the paper today. No surprise, we surmised this a while ago. Stevie Cohen getting ready to make a big run at Ohtani. The Yankees got Rodon. The Mets bring in Verlander. Obviously, Daniel Jones's deal, a huge topic. Let me ask you a serious question, because now it's time. We need to get an answer. What are we doing about Saquon? What are we doing about Saquon?
Yeah. The Giants need Saquon, and they need him because he is one of their team leaders. He is their example for how to push through, let's call it adversity. Even that's saying a lot for a guy who was Rookie of the Year, but we know the adversity he went through in his second, third, fourth years. Most of that was injury. He's never had any kind of teammate issue, any kind of on-field issue, never a locker room issue. He's the leader that the Giants have always wanted for a young team. And when you hear his teammates talk about him, they love him. And after likely winning Comeback Player of the Year. I don't think that stuff gets announced for another week or so, but he's likely going to win the Comeback Player of the Year. He was the catalyst for those early victories, even though Daniel Jones gets a lot of responsibility for those come from behind victories. But the Giants need Saquon Barkley for this team to keep on the path that they started with Brian Daboll. And it's interesting when you hear and listen to Joe Shane talk about him because he's clearly pulling down the monetary commitment that he wants to throw at Saquon by saying, yeah, he's a good player for us, and he did everything he was asked to do. But, I mean, he's fourth in the league in rushing this year. He averaged over 4 yards a carry, 4.5 yards a carry, almost 82 yards a game. He had 10 rushing touchdowns on the season. He led the team in receptions, at least in the regular season. So he did exactly what this team needed that was trying to come out of the doldrums that they were stuck in. This team needs Saquon Barkley. Now, how they reward him, that's a different story.
I don't think they need him. I think if the Giants pay Saquon, the Giants will never win a Super Bowl with this roster. They're going to lament it. I know nobody wants to hear that, but that's the reality of the NFL. Teak, I think the problem, and it sucks because it obscures some of the good, much of the good that the Giants did this year. But by paying Saquon, they are putting the resources in the wrong direction. And I want to reference this here. All right, so this past season, the top 15 running backs in terms of total yards, right? Mm-hmm. One's a quarterback, ironically, Justin Fields, crazy. And Hurts would have been there as well if he'd have missed time. 5 were taken in round 2. 5 were taken in round 1. 2 were taken in round 4. And 2 were taken in round 5. All right, now, of the 5 first-rounders that were taken, only 2 were taken in the top 10. C-Mac and Barkley. Mm-hmm. Barkley's the only one who might be with his team still because C-Mac is on a different squad now. Take the evidence is here, and this is one of those things where, and I believe that Shane and Daboll, Daboll will do this. They will strip away the emotion. It's not up to the Giant fan to remove the emotion because he's their guy, and I get it, and I respect it. It's up to the franchise to do that for them. And if they, I don't mean a team-friendly deal, that's different. If the Giants ever acquiesced to whatever he truly asks for, they are setting themselves up for failure. They will not win big.
I can't argue that because you look at the teams. I mean, other than Christian McCaffrey, who is he's just a different animal. Like he's different than a lot of these guys. And Saquon's really good athlete. Chris McCaffrey's just on a different level on how he receives. I mean, he can actually be a wide receiver. He could line up and run receiver routes for 60% of a game and probably have a lot of success. I'm not sure Saquon could do that, right? But I think you're right, because when you look at the teams that are left, right, the Kansas City Chiefs, it's Pacheco and McKinnon, and Ronald Jones was there as well.
Yep.
This past
Miles
weekend,
Sanders.
For the Eagles, it's Miles Sanders and Boston
Aaron Jones.
Scott and Gainwell, right? For the Bengals, it's Joe Mixon, and you throw in P. Ryan. Is that like it's always by committee? Like none of these teams that are still left that got deep into the postseason had that guy, except for the San Francisco 49ers. But even he split some time with Elijah Mitchell. So I think that you're right, but I also believe that Saquon doesn't want to go restart someplace else. And so that team-friendly deal, even though it's not really team-friendly, it's going to make $12 million a year, can be structured the right way because the team needs that guy. When you start taking the obvious leaders and letting them leave, it creates a void that's often hard to fill, right? Because who's stepping into that void?
Second round pick, like everybody else in the NFL.
Production wise, but I'm talking locker room wise. I'm talking like emotional wise.
I mean, but
it could be
really
overblown.
matters. I mean,
yes.
He's been on the team for 5 years. They've done nothing except this year.
It's because he's been hurt.
I understand that. That's not his fault. But let's not make it out to be like he's Mark Messier as some leader. Come on.
Yeah, but I think that's
an overstatement there, T.
Yeah,
it is.
I don't. I'm not in that locker room. But when you hear his teammates talk about him, they revere him. Right, you're Sterling Shepard talking about this yesterday on some podcast. They're disparaging him, and he's like, "Dude, you don't know what you're talking about." And so I gotta believe that Saquon is the necessary piece of the puzzle at the right price. Obviously.
All right, so this is a tough one for you Giant fans. I get it. 877-337-6666. Let me ask you this. So I'll never use the word lucky. I think that's incredibly unfair. But I think when you look at the discrepancy in talent, which was very identifiable when they played the Eagles, in the divisional round, there's a big gap. So the Giants have work to do. The work starts now for the front office. Everybody knows that. But I will use the word fortune. I'll play off the word luck, and I'll show the proper respect that they earned. But I'll use fortune. There was an element of fortune with the Giants' record this season. Who they played, how they won certain games, whatever. They were 9-7-1. If the Giants were 7-9-1, okay, let's just flip it a game or two.
Yeah.
Are we sitting here saying they need Saquon?
No, yeah.
See,
probably.
I disagree. I think the fact that the Giants made the playoffs
if he had the exact same
blurs the reality
if he had the
of who they are.
If he had the exact same season, and they were 7-9-1,
yeah,
I would have the exact same opinion. Because that's like he was banged up for at least 3 or 4. He was a month. He just wasn't the same player. You could see it. Like he wasn't
with
running,
the shoulder you're talking
with
about.
The shoulder
but he's hurt
injury.
every season. This is part of who he is.
But this is different. I mean, if it was a lower body injury, I'd get it. But the last 5 games of the season, including the postseason, he was unbelievable. 87 yards against Washington at almost 5 yards a carry. 84 again against Minnesota in a game that came down to the last to the field goal that they lost in overtime. 6 yards a carry and a touchdown. He had a touchdown the week before. 12 carries for 58 yards in a game that didn't really matter. And in week 17, the playoff game, he only had 9 carries, but he had 2 touchdowns and 5.5, almost 6 yards a carry. And then against the Eagles, even though it was a blowout game, 9 carries again, 6, almost 7 yards a carry. I mean, the dude, when he needed to show up and be that guy, he was that guy for this team. And I think that's how you have to evaluate him, not necessarily on, how this, what the rest of the team would look like without him, but just what he did when he needed to do it.
All right, so we see it different. This will be an interesting conversation inside of our Town Fair Tire studio. Friends at Town Fair remind you that you always get the guaranteed lowest price on name brand tires from Connecticut to Maine. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody. The one thing that we know, you can't win big without a stud quarterback. That we know. That's why the Jets are always chasing somebody, as are others. We do know, and the evidence is there, and I gave you some of it, that you can win with running back by committee or by not devoting first-round resources and or big money to a running back. That's where I stand. I love him, but You know, that's okay. Like if Saquon's gone, I don't think the Giants take a step back. Myself, I don't. Chris is in Perth Amboy. Chris, what's happening, buddy? How are you?
Good morning, fellas. How are you?
Chris.
What's up, man?
First of all, real quick, Kayvon Thibodeau with his tweets. Do us all a favor and stay off Twitter. You need to. You got plenty to keep you busy there.
Yeah, nobody cares what you tweet, Kayvon. Just go ball.
Listen, I love the kid. He's not Tiki Barber. Tiki Barber could do it all. And I'm not sure I'd pay Tiki Barber $16 million a year.
I'd pay him $16 million a year in radio because that means I'm getting a little piece of that. Let's go.
Hey, also, you look at all the other linebacking cores that, all these good playoff teams.
Yeah.
We don't have that.
Nope.
We don't have that second tier defense. I mean, would I love to keep him on the right price? Absolutely. He's going to be a great player, but there's too many other holes to fill, and there's too much money to spend elsewhere. And I think it would be fiscally irresponsible to overpay for him.
All right,
yeah.
There you go.
I mean,
Chris,
you're not wrong. Appreciate
it,
you, Chris. And that's the challenge that Joe Shane has. It's you need him. You want to keep him because he's the leader. He did exactly what as he said in the post game or postseason conference that him and Dable had. That he did exactly what you needed him to do when you needed him to do, but he knows you can't overpay him, but you do have to pay him in order to keep him. That's why it gets so hard with Saquon Barkley. You know what I would say, my solution to this, BT, is just franchise him. The franchise number, he'll be unhappy by
I'm okay with that.
But
I'm okay with that.
The franchise number is less than $11 million.
Uh-huh. So I'm good with that.
It sucks for Saquon,
Yep.
but it works for what this team needs
business.
now to reset itself fiscally after having a horrendous, cap coming into the 2022 season.
Well, that's why I said, I don't want to say the playoff. Well, certainly when you win a playoff game, there's never anything bad about that. Amazing. They beat Minnesota. It's awesome. They deserve a ton of praise. We gave it to them. But it does blur the reality of where they are. Are you telling me, all right, and I'm talking to you, the Giant fan, are you telling me that you want to give Saquon 14, 15, whatever he's looking for? And I don't begrudge him for looking for it, but are you going to give him that kind of money, still address the O-line, still address the linebacker, get a big-time receiver, and pay Daniel Jones big-time money that we think he's worth, but not 1,000% sure that he's worth? That doesn't seem like a winning recipe. I'm sorry. I mean, somebody's got to be the bad guy. I guess that's me again. Jay's in Freeport. What's happening, Jay? How are you?
Hey, boys. Long time no speak. How we doing?
Good,
What's
Jay.
up, Jay?
What's up, dude?
Hey, everything's great. Thanks. Listen, so when I made the call, I was fired up like Tiki. Then I heard a little bit of like what you guys are talking about. So Barkley is everything that the Giants stand for. He's out of the news. He's a clubhouse leader. He's a locker room leader. He's a workhorse. All right, and I'm a little nervous to say this, but when he is right, my favorite, and forgive me, Tiki, you're in my top three, but my favorite offensive player of all time is Barry Sanders. And I'm not going to say what you think I'm going to say. He definitely was the man. But there is, and there was in you too. I saw it in you too. There is that stop and go, that jerk and move, that cut through a hole that's not even there.
Yeah.
That Saquon does that very few people do. Now, on the flip side, I agree that there is no more fullback. There is no more I formation. There's no more there is no more of that. And I do believe that you're both right that Saquon deserves a contract, but we do need the O-line patched up. We need so much more stuff. And yeah, if you gotta, now I kind of agree. If you gotta put him under that 1 year thing, and then build around it, and then he bets on himself, and then you give him a contract, that's fine. And before I go, you don't get rid of Randall, you get rid of Barrett. That's it. Sorry. Let's go Knicks. Let's go Giants.
All right, Jay, appreciate that, buddy. 877-337-6666. Let's get to how about Thomas in Bayshore? He's on the Fan Tiki and Tierney show. What up, Tom?
Hey, fellas. First time in a while.
Appreciate you, bro.
Love you guys, even
Thank you,
though I'm
man.
a Cowboy fan.
Uh-oh.
Tiki, respectfully guy. One of the best to do it, seriously.
Thank you, brother.
Let's be honest here. We're talking about NFC East. At one point in this season, it was like we were given false hopes. At one point in the season, all four teams controlled their destiny. All they had to do was win out, and they would win a Super Bowl.
Yeah. Or they were in the playoffs. That's for sure.
Right.
At one point, all four NFC
All
East
four
teams were
teams.
in the postseason.
Now, in my Stephen A. Smith voice, just wait. It will happen. What happens? The Giants played with house money. I think they won one of their last 5 games with a tie and backed in.
2. They won
Dak?
2. Well, yeah, 1 because they
Colts.
beat the Colts. They destroyed the Colts, but it was really
Right.
the Washington game when they
Because-
won that.
right.
They were going to get in regardless of what happened.
Mm-hmm.
And now here's the thing: the only team that really they did what they were supposed to do this year, Philly. They got 11 people they have to sign, but they have 3 Pro Bowl linemen.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked at this when the Giants drafted Daniel Jones. Everyone was hollering about Dwayne Haskins and Kyler Murray, rest his soul. I said, listen, we've seen those two types. We've seen that before, that running Chuck. We've seen it.
Yeah.
I said, Daniel Jones will play out. Trust me. Now they're in a position. I said, listen, the average expectancy of a running back is like almost 2.7, maybe a little longer with third down management in a 2-back system.
Yep.
But it's addition by subtraction. You just said it. I said it. Sorry, but this is the NFL. It's a business.
Yep.
You franchise Tiki, and you have to go. I mean, you franchise Barkley, and you have to pay Daniel Jones his money. Is he worth it? We don't know, but the league says he is.
Yeah.
You have to pay him.
The quarterback.
Now, if you want-
quarterback always gets it. Always.
That's right. And then your left tackle, and then your position players. But that's in a bad position. I'll tell you what. Hey, Giant fans, I'll give you a solution. You ready? Give Tiki to Max, and we'll trade you Dak for Daniel Jones right fucking now. Excuse me, sorry.
All right. He's getting a little fired up there.
Yeah, he was.
Man, okay.
Yeah, that was
We
great.
got it.
Basically, he wants Daniel Jones. He said bump Dak.
Yep.
By the way,
Dak didn't look good.
I would not take that deal.
Neither would I.
For nothing.
A Giants fan, I want Daniel Jones over Dak.
100%.
But if I'm a smart Giants fan and not just an emotionally driven Giants fan, I know it's time to probably move on from Saquon. 877-337-6666. I mean, we're sitting here talking about the Giants like they won 5 division. They won 1 division game.
Yeah, but things are moving in the right direction.
They won 1.
They're moving in the right direction.
I
That's all
agree.
that
Well,
matters.
yes, they are because they have leadership, but the roster's still not good. And it ain't going to get good if you give a running back, which is an appreciating asset, big-time money. It's the way it is. 877-337-6666. We'll get to LeBron sitting. We're going to get to a little more on Rodgers. I heard something yesterday I think you guys want to get into. And what's DeGrom keeping to himself? We got to investigate that as well. That emerged yesterday about why he left the Mets. Tiki and Tierney on the Fan. We got you till 2. Then it's Carton Roberts coming up after us.